My wife demanded, "Give me half of your secret trust fund or I walk." I quietly replied by showing her the document proving that trust was fully vested in my dog. The fund's executor was my new partner at the engagement dinner. That betrayal led to my new partner and her immediate poverty. I, Sterling, age 40, male, had been with Diana, age 35, for 7 years. I worked as a historical preservation consultant, a job with a publicly quiet profile. My visible salary was a consistent $90,000 per year. I specialized in valuing colonial artifacts and old-world architecture. Diana worked as an interior design blogger, focusing heavily on historic aesthetics. She earned approximately $80,000 annually from sponsorships and consultations. Our combined visible income of $170,000 supported a socially demanding life in Newport, Rhode Island. We rented a 3-story, historic brownstone valued at $1,400,000. I drove a well-maintained, vintage Ford Bronco. Diana insisted on leasing a new Mercedes GLC for her visual brand integrity. We frequented quiet, exclusive restaurants, often for her networking purposes. Our social life was entirely centered on her need to impress old money property owners. In mid-February, a career opportunity arrived that represented the convergence of my entire secret financial life. I was offered the position of Director of Global Heritage Valuation for a major offshore foundation. The prestigious role was based in Geneva, Switzerland. The package was immense, tied directly to my hidden assets. The visible base salary was $300,000. The true value was the explicit control it granted me over my entire $15 million family trust, which had been managed for tax purposes. The entire package was fully controlled by the foundation's legal team. I presented the acquisition summary to Diana over a weekend brunch. I laid the summary on the table clearly. "This job is the single highest position in my field," I stated. "It moves us to Geneva with triple the visible income," I added, emphasizing the professional facts. Diana immediately rolled her eyes, pushing the summary aside. "Geneva is financially irrelevant and the job sounds incredibly dull, Sterling. The salary is $300,000, tax-advantaged," I responded, keeping my voice level. She laughed, a thin, mocking sound. "Director of Global Valuation is just a glorified colonial librarian, still focused on dusty old houses. It involves complex international asset management," I clarified steadily. She then focused on my family legacy. "You have never given me control of that old, boring trust, and I deserve it now." Her outright demand for control over my most guarded asset confirmed her priorities. Update 1. I quietly accepted the director position in Geneva the next morning. My start date was set for early May, allowing 3 months for my decisive exit. I began preparing for the move without involving Diana in any specific details. Diana continued her established pattern of public mockery. She repeatedly told her friend, Liam, an event planner, that my new job was a ridiculous demotion. "Sterling is running to Switzerland because he's afraid of real financial risk," Diana frequently told Liam. Liam and his partner, Chloe, an interior designer, openly sided with Diana's emphasis on visible, exciting wealth. They often questioned my decision to move from the culturally rich Newport area. "Why trade historical charm for boring bank vaults, Sterling?" Chloe asked me once. "I am moving toward absolute financial security," I replied factually. I initiated the final, critical steps of my preparation. I established a new private banking relationship in Geneva. I began transferring the bulk of my liquid personal assets into this new structure. I secured a small, high-end, discreet apartment in Geneva's Champel neighborhood. Crucially, I maintained close, confidential contact with Dr. Elise Thorne, the esteemed financial lawyer who executed my family's trust. Elise was aware of the entire scenario and helped me finalize the legal protection. The $15 million fund was legally and irrevocably vested in my beloved golden retriever, Barnaby, with me as the sole manager of Barnaby's welfare. Update 2. The confrontation arrived abruptly in mid-April. Diana had found some loose documents regarding the trust and was furious about the continued secrecy. We were standing in the kitchen, arguing over her refusal to pack her clothes. I know you have a huge trust fund hidden somewhere, Sterling. Diana insisted loudly. That fund has been legally established for years. I responded, my voice calm. She then delivered the final, calculated ultimatum, attempting to use financial desperation as a weapon. You must choose to surrender half the trust to me, or I will leave, she stated sharply. She continued, I will ensure your dusty preservation career is ruined by scandal. I met her gaze steadily, feeling only a cold, analytical resolve. I chose my career, my dog, and my legal security. My wife demanded, give me half of your secret trust fund or I walk. I quietly replied by showing her the document proving that trust was fully vested in my dog. The fund's executor was my new partner at the engagement dinner. That betrayal led to my new partner and her immediate poverty. Update 3. The fallout was immediate and deeply satisfying. Diana's rage was absolute when she realized the $15 million fund was legally the property of Barnaby, the golden retriever. Her attempt at blackmail was met with a devastating legal barrier. She immediately cycled through disbelief and furious anger. You registered your dog as a beneficiary, she accused me loudly in a text. The trust is legally sound under animal welfare statutes, I replied factually. She was forced to confront the separation and the finality of her exclusion from the assets. She refused to speak to me for several days, trapped in denial. My sister, Sarah, who lived nearby, took Barnaby and the necessary legal documents into her temporary care. I remained calm and analytically detached through the rapid process. My focus was entirely on the high-level transition to Geneva. My emotional state was stable and focused on the future. Moving day arrived with a quiet finality. I shipped my few personal belongings and my vintage Ford Bronco to Europe. Diana was entirely absent, having retreated to a friend's house in New York. I left the townhouse, which reverted to the foundation's ownership structure. I flew to Geneva with a singular, quiet sense of professional purpose. My first detailed view of my new life in Geneva, Switzerland, was one of impeccable order and efficiency. My new office, overlooking the lake, felt immensely significant. My apartment in Champol was minimalist and highly secure. The work as director of global heritage was immediately demanding and intellectually stimulating. Update 4. I was quickly thriving professionally in the new environment. The role required decisive leadership and precise asset valuation. My team was highly competent and respected my ethics. Socially, I embraced the city's stability and order. I met a new circle of friends, including a British economist and a French investment banker. My relationship with Dr. Elise Thorne, the trust executor, deepened into a committed, honest partnership. Elise was intelligent, financially precise, and fully understood the security protocols. Financially, the $300,000 base salary was excellent, and my strategic control over the family assets was absolute. My personal wealth was secure. I purchased a high-end, reliable Tesla Model S for traveling across the Swiss and French borders. My lifestyle improvement was controlled, focused entirely on professional excellence and investment. By late October, 5 months into the role, I achieved my first major milestone. I successfully navigated a complex international tax audit of a major asset, resulting in significant savings. This success earned me a substantial mid-year performance bonus of $75,000. Diana's old network began reaching out, curiosity overriding their caution. Liam, the event planner, sent me a tentative email. I heard the Geneva job is a major deal, Sterling, Liam wrote vaguely. The work is complex and rewarding, I replied politely. Chloe, the designer, sent a message asking about the legal status of the dog. They were clearly curious about the true financial outcome. I remained polite, but entirely reserved. Update 5. In January, I cemented my professional success with a major public announcement. I was featured in a specialized international finance journal, detailing my successful navigation of the complex audit. I updated my LinkedIn profile, clearly displaying my new title, Executive Director of Global Asset Strategy. The article explicitly mentioned the scale of the fiduciary duty involved. Diana learned the full, non-negotiable truth about my status and the true scale of the $15 million fund she had forfeited. She had demanded a portion of a fund, she could never legally touch. She sent a series of messages, alternating between confusion and outrage. "You used my betrayal as leverage for your career," she claimed furiously. I simply focused on necessary professional execution. I responded with factual clarity. "You should have been honest about the money's true purpose," she argued illogically. "The trust was legally vested and protected," I countered. Liam, her friend, sent me an explicit apology email. He confessed that Diana had convinced him I was financially timid and poor. "We feel completely misled about your actual net worth," he wrote. "My sister, Sarah, called me from the States. Barnaby is thriving, and your plan was immaculate, Sterling," she confirmed. Update 6. In late March, Diana visited Geneva, claiming she was meeting an obscure art dealer. She contacted me, requesting a final meeting to discuss the future. I agreed to meet her at a quiet, public museum cafe near the lake. When she sat down, she presented a practiced narrative of emotional growth. She claimed she had spent the last year realizing her life was too focused on material pretense. "I now value intellectual stability, Sterling," she insisted softly. "I am pleased you have developed that awareness," I acknowledged neutrally. She insisted she had changed, but I referenced her past actions and the consequences of her ultimatum. I mentioned the public record of her recent professional struggle and her inability to secure a stable income. "Your business failed due to poor risk assessment," I stated calmly. "I just needed a partner to pay the initial startup costs." She tried to excuse it. I then referred to the beneficiary. "The trust remains legally vested in Barnaby," I noted. She insisted on returning, suggesting she could now be the perfect partner for an executive director. "I can fully embrace the high finance lifestyle with you," she proposed quickly. I calmly declined the offer, explaining that the foundational trust was destroyed by her final, greedy threat. "The breach of trust is absolute and permanent," I stated the fact. Update 7. Diana did not accept the decline gracefully. She attempted a brief, futile period of online retaliation. She posted anonymous claims on several architecture blogs, implying my valuation work was deliberately flawed. She claimed I was an unethical consultant. My lawyer, Ms. Evelyn Joe, managed the attack with efficient legal documentation. Mess. Joe immediately sent a cease and desist letter to the hosting platforms. She provided certified third-party financial reports proving the ethical rigor of my work. The claims were removed quickly due to their defamatory nature. Her online claims failed completely. My partner, Dr. Elise Thorne, the trust executor, posted a factual rebuttal on a financial forum. She confirmed the legal structure of the trust and my ethical management of the funds. Diana lost all remaining credibility when the forums noted her comments were based on obvious malice. Update 8. 1 year later, my life was stable, profoundly successful, and deeply satisfying. I was the permanent executive director of global asset strategy. My wealth was securely growing. I was in a committed, highly compatible relationship with Dr. Elise Thorne. Elise was intelligent, respected my privacy, and provided constant strategic support. Our life together was based on mutual respect and intellectual rigor. In June, Diana sent a final, short message. It was a brief email to my personal address. I realized the dog was always smarter than me. The email read, "I regret my final, foolish choice to walk away from Barnaby," she wrote, finally admitting the truth. I sent a short, professional, and final reply. "Barnaby is secure and thriving," I wrote. I immediately blocked the address. The entire past conflict was completely and finally resolved. Final update. The following autumn, I was hosting a private asset management seminar in Monte Carlo. While at a dinner, I was approached by Mr. Alastair Finch, the chairman of the International Foundation. Mr. Finch was the key authority figure in my new professional world. Mr. Finch apologized to me, his expression solemn and respectful. "I regret that your family trust was ever threatened, Sterling." He admitted his own mistake in not publicly emphasizing the ethical necessity of my protective structures sooner. He confessed that he had initially worried the eccentric nature of the trust would attract unwanted scrutiny. I wrongly allowed external opinions to cloud my judgment. Mr. Finch stated, "I apologize for the lack of defense you received in Newport. he added honestly. I accepted his apology, acknowledging that his admission of error was significant. I explained that my actions were always driven by the necessity of defending my financial stability and my dog's future. My reflection confirmed the final, enduring life lesson. The greatest financial security lies in eccentric, legally ironclad protection structures against predictable greed. I secured peace and a better life by calmly ensuring my assets were untouchable, and that my eventual partner was the one who controlled the key to that protection. The quiet, logical closure came from knowing that Barnaby was safe, and my life was strategically superior.